Today's adventure will be taking us to the once rich and affluent area of the Esplanade, located just northeast of Diamond City. We'll be finding plenty to keep us busy here. Let's delve right into it. This area mainly comprises of the Charles View Amphitheatre over to Backstreet Apparel, down to the Boston Library, and of course back over to Hallucigen Incorporated. First up on our list is the Lonely Super Mutant. He has his home up on this footbridge. Plenty of meat bags, meaning from a distance you instantly know that you're going to have to deal with some super mutants. Although there's just the one. Now, why is he alone is the biggest question of this unmarked location. Was it that he got cut off from his brethren because of the nearby gunners and raiders fighting? Did he go rogue and this is him on his own? Whatever may be the case, what we do know is he's got a very nasty missile launcher and he's not afraid to use it. The signs of the sleeping bag and the put out fire means that raiders or settlers, even gunners, maybe held this position before he came along. Now, you can reload it as many times as you want. He doesn't get reinforced, meaning he is essentially a lone Rambo of a super mutant. Alright, now let's pounce on to the next location. Right here, we've got the Mirelurk Bridge. Now, it's an easy way to dub that. 2 Mirelurks will pop out to try and give you a bit of a scare. Now, if you are armed with any weapon at all, you should be able to take them down with relative ease. Before taking a stroll across the park, wondering to yourself that, this must have been a pretty beautiful place before the bombs fell. And as such, you can see that the Charles View Amphitheatre has been set up to become some sort of cultish place, with brother, is it brother James or Thomas? It's brother James, that's it. James also being my middle name, fun fact. Moving over, we can find a little boat out in the middle of the sea. Jumping across, you can see that a sledgehammer and screwdriver means that this safe was cracked open by an unknown person. Perhaps recently, given the fact that the boat's still afloat, that might be the case. So without needing to unlock it, be sure to pick up this safe. If you're following where we are, we're just north of the amphitheatre itself, and we'll be moving closer in towards Hallucigen next. Getting back onto shore, we can go across to a little hobo tent. Now, I've seen plenty of examples of this across the river. Was this post-war? It's hard to tell, but given the fact that he's got a silver table knife and he's got a life preserver, means he was pretty prepared for not only opening food, but in case of drowning. Hopefully he knew how to swim. And if it was in the pre-war era, if the police tried to shoo him on, he just would have had to float back out into the river. Although, given the height of the tide, I don't think he would have got under any of the nearby bridges. Now, we'll leave this hobo alone and head on towards our next destination. Approaching the rear of Hallucigen, which has a master lock and a booby trap over to the side, but that's not our concern at the moment. In fact, we want to go around here to the gun shop, where someone has set up a pretty decent survivalist garage, I suppose. Weapons workbench, power armor station, several items you can pick up, and a chemistry station for the taking. And once you explore that, we can head on over to Teddy's homestead, where you can find a mattress if you're doing a survival playthrough, a teddy bear, and several beer bottles. The bag of cement leads me to believe that someone maybe had some grand design of building some sort of shelter here. They had pretty good cover from above and plenty of the elements, although all the debris and the fact that no one's here means that probably never materialized. Now, our next location is up above here, behind Hallucigen. Let's just zoom in on the map for you. And I would say 99.9% of players have never seen this particular unmarked location, so let's get up there. And the reason most players have never seen this is because to access it, there's no easy method, no nearby catwalks and no nearby areas for the use of a jetpack. You'll find not only a novice safe, but a skeleton with a weapon. Now, as you can see, there's just no nearby rooftops, and I suppose parkour wouldn't be, well, I suppose parkour is probably the easiest option you have. Let's try and see if that is something I can do. I'm only noticing it now because I kept thinking rooftops. If I go around here, I can hop to here. Bam, bam, and we're almost up. I would say some jet would finish the gap there, and that would get you up there. So that's a pretty cool find live whilst we're doing this series. Right, jumping on across to our next destination. It's actually just out the front of Hallucigen itself. Ignoring the gunners, the mines and everything going on here, you can drop down here and find usually a sniper rifle. It has been a pretty decent weapon every time I've come here, and a skeleton. Now this forgotten sniper must have perished a long time ago, and given that he's a skeleton, he probably died long before the gunners ever tried to raid this place. So let's see. Now whilst they were trying to raid it, I forgot about that mine last time, and once again that car's going to detonate. That is a brilliant continuation of exactly how the video went down last time. Okay, so we're moving up to another little perch where we can find another lone fellow. There seems to be a lot of loners in this area, and this raider is no exception. He watched the gunners get absolutely massacred by one another when, you know, they went all crazy. But up here, we can still get a chem cooler and some ammo alongside his wee sleeping bag. Now that he is set up here, we are going to see what became of the rest of the gunners. Jumping back down to street level, we can go over to Marlborough House. Why this was never a marked location, I will never know. I suppose it was to give space to Hallucigen Incorporated itself. But still, it would have been awesome if Marlborough House got a mention. Let's bounce inside. Once you enter Marlborough House, it becomes pretty clear that the gunners have not had that good a time. Barricades set up and ammo boxes strewn across. Now, if you read the note about the mission brief on the Esplanade, you will get an idea that they were just, you know, doing a bit of reconnaissance, setting up a forward base, recon on the exterior, and neutralising threats, and then awaiting the raid team, of course, when they arrive. And when you enter the building, you start to build a picture as to what happened. Although, looking around here, this is a pretty spiffing place, that's for sure. Upstairs, they perhaps were a veteran, given the Dirty Army fatigues, and there's also a wee hidden chem box, which I always love to find, because it took me by surprise when I was doing this location last time. Right, on to our bonus unmarked location. Today's bonus unmarked location, instead of walking towards the Lonely Super Mutant, walk west towards Backstreet Apparel. And whilst this is considered part of that location, you will see a tripwire and a dead settler. Now, for quite a lot of viewers, they were surprised when I did the video on this, that there is in fact a rocket launcher that will trigger if you go through the tripwire. Boom, boom. I just think that is insanely awesome, and whilst you could consider it part of Backstreet Apparel, I want to always point it out. Right, let's move on to some other locations. We are now on the main Esplanade itself, and we have found a Pawlowski survival shelter alongside some roadworks. Now, these may be two different unmarked locations, however I do believe they share a connection. The shovel and the hard hat alongside the toolbox you can loot implies that someone was setting up for the morning to do some works. Now, given they set up the traffic cones and were about to get started, the bombs would have failed. Now, given a smart enough and quick enough person, you could have immediately ran over to this shelter here. Now, doing so, we can find the remains of someone with some Radaway and a comfy pillow. As well as, if I move him there, yes, you can also find a bottle of Radix. What would have been awesome to see is, I would have loved to have seen footprints, and I would have loved the hard hat to be sitting in here, implying that the worker that didn't get, working, ran over to the shelter to save himself, and of course, didn't really manage that. Now, of course, it would be a wee bit difficult to explain why they would have Radix and a comfy pillow on hand. Well, the comfy pillow's probably easy enough to explain. Perhaps he ran over to his van or his nearby truck and grabbed it before running over. Still, two cool locations that could have been linked, and in the future, hopefully we see unmarked locations given that wee bit of an extra storytelling treatment. Without me just kind of making it up as I go. Right, let's head on to our next one. We are back up visiting our friend at the Raiders Perch. However, we want to access the rooftop on the other side. If you have a jetpack, this is pretty trivial. If you don't, some jet and a bit of luck and a big jump is all you need. So, let's slow time, speed up, massive jump, boom. combat sniper rifle. This guy seems glitched all of the time, which I find just quite funny. And another teddy bear. You can't sleep on the mattress, unfortunately, which is a bit strange. If I take everything, nope, still can't sleep on it. How could he have survived here if he couldn't have slept on the mattress? But yes, this person would have also had a good view of what was going on here. But like the skeleton down behind the dumpster, perhaps the two of them were having pot shots at each other. You know, it would make sense. There is a fair line of sight to one another, and they may have brutally, injured one another, and they both just succumbed to their injuries. Possible theory for this one, but let's head on down, and we'll find a few more raiders further down the alleyway. Just before we reach the raider fortifications, you'll want to climb this catwalk. Not only will it give you a vantage point to snipe some of the raiders from a safe distance, provided they don't do too much damage as you are climbing the steps, we can find this little hideaway. Now, did settlers make this? Did raiders? It's a possibility. It could have been any of them. A burnt Grognag comic that he possibly burnt on the hot plate, alongside some buff-out cigarettes and, of course, Psycho. Not a bad few finds. The screwdriver leads me to believe he was probably trying to repair the TV. Whoever this belonged to, it would have been awesome if you came at a certain time. I noted on the poster here, it actually says until 4 a.m. If at 4 a.m., a raider or some kind of shifty character would have appeared and just been sitting here, that would have been awesome, and I would have loved that. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. If you come here at 4 a.m, nothing happens. It's the way it goes. Now, let's jump down, head on over to the raider barricades. Raiders have made it their home here, just behind the Holy Church, which we'll be having a look at next. Heading on side, it's guarded by about 3 raiders who will, of course, fire on sight the moment they so much as smell your presence in the area. Now, if we jump across to the other side, they have built themselves a bit of a base. Oh, try and not get stuck like me. Ooh. And down the catwalk to where you'll find their sleeping area. A few raider psychos. They seem to have set up a nice wee base for themselves, but nothing better than clearing a bit of the streets, doing the Commonwealth a good favour, just east of Backstreet Apparel. Now, if we jump over their barricades, missing the razor wire, we can go into the Holy Church, the Holy Congregation. An unmarked location. Sadly, this definitely should have been on the map. Let's head inside and see what we can find. The sights in this church are both sad and humorous. We can find a loving couple with a wee pocket watch and a trilby hat. Quite sophisticated. You have to remember the types of residents that would have been in this area would have been quite well off. If we go over here, you can find a family with a burnt textbook, a large baby bottle, and one thing I have noticed here is there's obviously nothing in the pram. Perhaps the baby was rescued at some point, although you'd like to hope it was by anyone other than the Institute. Over here, you can find the Protectron, who was clearly oiling itself, given a bit of maintenance. How it ended up in this position, I'm not too sure. Going over here, we can find a Voltec lunchbox next to a Subway token with this person. With the fashionable glasses, she would have been looking quite spiffy. Now, whoa, you got way too close to me there. A bit of a jump scare. Yes, the ghouls that will emerge when you come in here, but the pastor appears to have been up to no good. You can find pre-war money and a 10mm pistol behind the pew. There's 2 entrances into here, this one and that one. Of course, if you want more distance between the ghouls, entering through the front would probably be the better option. Alright, up next we have the Esplanade itself. Just behind the Holy Church itself, we have the Commonwealth Avenue. It's a massive sweeping esplanade, and it's just at the back of Back Bay neighbourhood. Now, this whole area was just meant to be part of Back Bay, but thankfully it was given its own flavour. Now, obviously, it was quite a rich, well-developed neighbourhood, and the houses certainly reflect that. And the likes of Marlborough House, when you're inside, you do notice that things are going quite well. It looks like someone even started a bit of a cookout in the middle of the avenue. You know, a pretty peaceful place to live in the pre-war times, that's for sure. I would say, with the fact that it's got phone booths, you know, it's got a bus stop, it was well serviced, and this would have been the area that you wanted to live in. Heading on south, of course, you head towards Trinity Tower, or east towards Boston Common. We'll be doing videos on all of them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next area. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.